And now, the general weather around Alaska. Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service on this Thursday, December 14th, 2023. And if you'd like additional weather information on top of what I provide in this YouTube video, you can go to weather.gov online and it'll bring you to a map of the continental U.S. with Hawaii and Alaska to the lower left and little click tabs here for the various territories. And looking at the map here on this Thursday afternoon, we have some winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings right in the Texas, Oklahoma, western Kansas, northeast New Mexico area. Back further north and west, we have dense fog advisories for areas of the northern Rockies, western Montana, down across southern Oregon. And here in Alaska, some active weather to deal with once again. There's another low pressure system coming in off the Bering with a frontal system. Tonight into Friday morning, there are some blizzard warnings along areas of the southwest coast that I'll highlight here in a moment. More Geminid meteors are possible tonight if you live in a location where the sky is clear. The Geminid meteor shower peaked early this morning, but still be possible to see these bright greenish white Geminid meteors. And there was an X-class solar flare that popped off the sun this morning. I'll talk about what potential impacts that may have. We're going to see another low in front coming out of the lower Bering into the southwest coast Saturday into Sunday, and that'll affect areas of the southwest mainland, Alaska Peninsula, areas along the Gulf Coast, inner south central, and the Panhandle here through the weekend. And overall, a rather active weather pattern is going to continue in the same areas, the southern mainland, Alaska Peninsula, along the Gulf Coast, and the Panhandle, pretty much now through and maybe a little past Christmas. Looking at a couple of the FAA webcams this afternoon, this is Togiak looking out toward the south-southeast. Notice this band of clouds. That is the leading clouds ahead of the strong front that's pushing through. Togiak is under a blizzard warning for later tonight and Friday morning. Temperature early afternoon was 4 below zero. Northeast winds are going to be picking up out ahead of this system. Meanwhile, further inland, south of the Alaska Range, Talkeetna enjoying clear skies. Temperature only 2 below at 2 o'clock or so this afternoon. But beautiful skies for viewing aurora or meteor shower. And certainly tonight the potential exists for some more Geminid meteors. You want to step out, look especially toward the southern sky. Constellation Geminid is located in the vicinity of Orion and Taurus. But quick check of what we have for advisories, watches, warnings. So we have a blizzard warning that was issued for Whittier. That's going to be allowed to cancel soon. Really didn't develop the strong winds to create the blowing snow that originally thought. Thompson Pass winter weather advisory yet tonight. Further east, this area here, northern part of the Panhandle, the Haines and Klondike highways, 3 to 7 inches of snow, Haines and Skagway, maybe as much as 2 feet of snow in some of the higher elevations above 500 feet. That would be through tonight into early Friday. Further north, we have a wind advisory that goes in effect noon Friday into late Friday night for areas of the eastern Alaska Range. But more importantly, there's a low pressure coming in off of the Bering with a front that'll be pushing into the southwest coastline and the Alaska Peninsula. The worst conditions are going to be right along the coastline. Strong gusty winds. These outer capes really get hit hard with frontal systems. Could see snowfall amounts up to 6 inches or so. 3 to 6 inches in these areas. They'll blow and drift around, especially later tonight and tomorrow, early tomorrow morning with that frontal passage. Winter weather advisory for the lower Yukon Delta for not quite as much snow and not quite as strong winds, but certainly some accumulating snow and blowing, drifting snow possible there in the lower Yukon Delta late tonight, more likely Friday morning into Friday afternoon. So, the Geminid meteor shower peaked early this morning. I saw a brilliant, beautiful Geminid fireball on my drive into work. I was driving, heading kind of toward the south, and I could see the bright planet Venus in the sky, and then to the right of it fell this brilliant, streaked across the sky much like this, greenish white Geminid fireball. There'll be a chance to see some more of these bright meteors tonight, so if you live in a location where the sky is clear, it's worth taking a look. And we had an X-class, a 2.8 X-class solar flare pop off the sun this morning. It was not directly Earth-directed, I should say, but maybe a component. Here, also we had aurora last night. This is from one of the polar orbiting satellites. Here's the continental U.S., there's the Great Lakes. Michigan clearly shows up. Look at this nice display of the aurora, these various auroral curtains, lines of aurora across Canada, along the U.S.-Canadian border, southern prairie provinces of Canada, extending into Alberta, British Columbia, with Alaska, the panhandle areas there further off to that side of the screen. I just kind of took the two images together, but it was a pretty good aurora display last night if skies were clear at your location. So here is that X-class solar flare. It is on the retreating side or limb of the sun, so it's not directly pointed at us. We could see a component of this flare. It is the strongest flare since 2017 and the strongest one of this current solar cycle. So it's certainly worth paying attention coming up here in the next couple of nights. If you have clear skies, there certainly could be enhanced geomagnetic and aurora activity if we get a piece of that, a component of that strong flare. Now, here across the state, looking at cloud cover, we have low here in the northern Gulf, more moisture coming on into the panhandle. Same common story. We have a next system out here in the Bering, a low pressure out this way that's going to work its way northeastward, pushing in a frontal system that's going to go up into Kuskokwim, Bristol Bay areas, producing falling snow along with blowing, drifting snow. That's why those blizzard warnings are in effect for later tonight and early Friday morning. And really not a whole lot of changes anticipated in this pattern. So this low that's out here right now in the northern Gulf, this system just kind of weakens, washes out. We have a general area of high pressure across the far north, not especially strong, but just typically climatologically residing in that area with the colder air. But here comes the next low as we go from this afternoon. That's the weather map. And then tonight, that low is there just west of Nunavik Island with the frontal system occluding and pushing across the Alaska Peninsula on up into the southwest coast. And then for Friday afternoon, that whole system lifts up to the north, up toward the lower Yukon Delta and begins to weaken. Secondary low development takes place near and just east of Kodiak Island. And then by the time we get into Saturday, that's going to be the next weather maker. Another low coming out of the North Pacific. This one's going to cross the eastern Aleutians on Saturday and then be pushing up toward Kuskokwim Bay with another front that's occluding. And as that pushes across the Gulf, we're going to see enhanced precipitation along, especially the western northern Gulf, back into areas of the southwest. So again, this active pattern continues. This is going to repeat itself over and over. Either lows coming out of the lower Bering or stuff coming up here out of the North Pacific all the way through Christmas. And at some point, we're going to see a couple of these be stronger than the others, and whereby we'll have more concerns for some heavier precipitation and winds, especially across the southern mainland and along the Gulf Coast panhandle areas. So lows tonight, generally near or above freezing in the panhandle, outer southern and outer western coastal areas there, 34, 35. Interior, though, clear skies, 18, 20 below up there, Copper River Basin. Great chance to look for the Geminid meteors. Talkeetna, 8 below. High clouds are going to be rapidly moving into south central here later tonight, later this evening, overnight. So clear skies, best chance to get out early in the night because that frontal system coming in off of the southeast Bering and working its way across the southwest coast tonight is going to rapidly increase the cloud cover. Highs tomorrow. We're looking at highs around 20 Anchorage Bowl, near freezing along the coast. Homer, 37 at Kodiak. A little warmer as you get down along the Alaska Peninsula. 5 above Glen Allen, Gulkana areas. And then mid-upper 30s along the Panhandle. Saturday morning lows. Not as cold because of the cloud cover in place. There could be some accumulating snows in areas of south central here as we go through Friday night, early Saturday. Back here across the Panhandle, a bit colder. Probably get some clearing, temperatures in the 20s. And daytime highs then Saturday afternoon, another system pushing its way eastward. We do expect readings to come upward a bit because this is a warmer air mass that's being forced up from the southwest. So we do expect temperatures to rise along the coastal areas and even pushing inland. It could be up 28 to near 30 as far north as, say, Anchorage. Now, cold weather is entrenched here across the central interior and the far north. Many lows below zero. Some of the normally cold spots, 25, 30 below. This morning, Denali Park entrance was down around 25, 27 below. So again, some of the normal cold spots here, 25, 30 below. Temperatures near or just below zero along the Seward coastline and around Norton Sound. Daytime highs sub-zero across the central, eastern interior areas of the Arctic coast. And then along the northwest and Seward coastline, we're looking at temperatures just a bit above 0, 5 above or so for a high. Saturday morning lows will be colder across the north slope, eastern areas of the Brooks Range, 20s to near 30 below. Temperatures Saturday afternoon may bump up a little bit because there is a push of milder air coming up from the south. So can maybe get a temperature up around 11 degrees or so at Healy, Nenana. Areas stay below zero, though, Fairbanks northward, especially across the Yukon Flats, central eastern Brooks Range, and the North Slope, and then all along the Arctic coast. For the southwest interior Friday morning, clouds are going to be rapidly increasing, so these readings may bump up a little bit, but certainly look for temperatures to be steady to slowly rising after late evening. Temperatures are generally going to be above freezing once you get out along and west of the eastern Aleutians. And then for Friday afternoon, with that push of a little milder air from the south, even though it's an occlusion, you expect some temperatures to get up into the 20s along Kuskokwim, Bristol Bays, 40s along the Alaska Peninsula into the eastern Aleutians. And then Saturday morning, the vestige of that little push of mild air that comes across the Alaska Peninsula, 36 or so there at Kodiak City, and generally near or just above freezing along all the way down through the eastern Aleutians. And Saturday afternoon highs, at least in the southwest, will have come back up. Some areas getting back up above 20, Bethel, and especially down along the southwest coast areas of the Panhandle, or I should say the Alaska Peninsula out through the Aleutians. Generally look for highs upper 30s to around 40 degrees. The extended temperature outlook here, this is just prior to Christmas, December 20th through the 24th. The winter solstice occurs on December 21st. We're anticipating above normal temperatures across the eastern mainland and the Panhandle, with the greatest likelihood of above normal temperatures here over southeast Alaska, centered on the Panhandle. Near normal temperatures along the western mainland in through the Alaska Peninsula and the Aleutians. And you guessed it, this active weather pattern with the lows that are coming in either off the Bering or the North Pacific up into the Gulf like this, with the secondary development that often happens. It puts the greatest likelihood of above normal precipitation south central from around Anchorage, surrounding areas of Prince William Sound, just south of the Alaska Range, Wrangell, St. Elias Mountains, in through the southeast. This is the area that has the best chance of seeing above normal precipitation. And at this time of year, if you're inland, that means more snow. So stay tuned to later forecast as the holiday approaches.